Welcome back for another exciting day. Book six, A Year of Magical Learning. Here we
Yeah,
are, Chris.
excited for this one. So book six, the book we're going to be talking about today is Tuesdays with Morrie. It's written by an author called Mitch Albom. And have you guys, just out of curiosity, have either one of you read this?
Unfortunately, I have not, but reading your reflection wants me to go pick it up.
Well, we'll get there in a second. Blake, have you read this one?
Never heard of it.
Okay. Oh, by the way, everyone, we have a new party joining us today. Blake, he's one of our co-founders of Clubany as well. So we thought it'd be fun to have him as a guest on the Your Magical Learning podcast today. So welcome, Blake, and we're looking forward to getting your thoughts. So quick rundown of the book, just kind of what it's about. This guy named Mitch, this is a true story. This guy named Mitch Albom, he was a student of this guy named Morrie Schwartz back in college. He was a sociology professor. Morrie Schwartz is years past. They have a really close relationship back in college. Mitch goes on, has a successful career as a sports writer and columnist and works at a newspaper. He sees a story on the nightly news about his old college professor named Morrie Schwartz, who is dying of the nightly news. I think it was Tom Brokaw had heard from friends about this guy named Morrie that was giving all these lessons about life. As he found out he was dying of ALS, they were all very impacted by it. Tom Brokaw goes to interview him, and Mitch sees his old professor on TV, and he's like, oh my God, my professor's dying. We used to be really close. I want to go see him. So he goes and sees him, flies out to New York or wherever Morrie lived. He goes and visits him, reconnecting, and Morrie asked Mitch if he would, come back and have a conversation with him and write down his story and share some of his thoughts that he was sharing with other people. They would talk about life and all different kinds of topics and subjects and, death and what happiness means. And so Mitch would come back every Tuesday, and that's why it's called Tuesdays with Morrie. Mitch would fly out. He would meet him on Tuesdays. It was over like 12 weeks maybe that he flew back and forth, and they had these Tuesday sessions. Mitch would record them, and then he would go home and he would write his notes. And, eventually Morrie passed away from ALS. So that was Mitch's promise to him. He would write this story and he would share it with the world, and he did. And it turned into an international bestseller. One of the things that struck me the most, I love the book. It's a really touching book if you guys want to read it. And I think there's a lot of great lessons to be learned in it. But the biggest thing for me that I learned from this book is one of the last weeks where Morrie was getting closer and closer to death. And was one of the last visits that Mitch went out there and visited him. He asked him like, hey, Morrie, what's your perfect last day going to be? And Morrie ends up talking to him and says, Mitch, really nothing crazy. He's like, I just want to wake up, exercise, eat a little bit of breakfast, go dancing, have lunch with some friends, maybe go for a swim. Nothing really special, just things that I love to do and really care about. Mitch told him as he was writing the book, he was so surprised by how ordinary that was. You have one day left to live in your life. And Morrie's like, this is what I value. This is what really matters. For me, the big reflection that I took away from this book was maybe the perfect day really is ordinary. I used to always think when I was younger, before my whole situation with Amelia happened and before, this whole year magical learning journey and all this other stuff, that like I was always happiness was traveling around the world or going to see, new food in Italy or meeting new people or just had to have these great, crazy experiences. And the more that I've gotten invested into my core values, into my own personal mission and purpose that I've learned through Amelia, and the more that I've invested into activities, things that I can do every single day, like just waking up every morning and reading and writing these reflections and writing the book that I wrote for my daughter and having conversations with you guys, where we do Clubany stuff and we're talking about balance and hanging out with my family. I don't need to travel anyway. I don't need to do anything. It's just very ordinary day, and that's when I'm happiest. So that's kind of my reflection, I guess, just at a high level. Love to get your thoughts. I don't know who wants to go first, but what do you guys think is the perfect day, or what do you think the perfect day is?
You want to take a whack at it? Like,
It's really weird that you're saying this because I just had this conversation with my dad. I recently had a little problem with gambling. Recently made a trip out to visit a friend in Denver. I have a wife and a child here at home. Love them. Most important thing in the world. My whole life, I've always gotten driven from those ups and downs. Now that I'm no longer gambling, trying to do the right things, seeking that thrill, it's hard is that shift of mindset of not pursuing that anymore. But I know that is the most important thing to me. And I was telling my dad, it's kind of strange. Days seem the same over and over again, wake up at the same time, do the same things. And I'm so used to not doing that, like having to shift my mindset to being okay with that. I mean, I feel a lot happier when I do that. I feel a lot more stable. The ups aren't really high. There aren't downs though. So I think so many people don't, it's hard to shift over this perfect ordinary day kind of mindset. I think it's definitely the right answer of what everybody should be doing. It's just figuring out what that perfect ordinary day looks like for them.
Yeah. Well, that's the question, is how do you find your perfect ordinary day? I mean, I know how I found it. What's your approach?
I mean, mine is honestly been exercising, then doing just some sort of learning. It can be a podcast, a church service, whatever. Exercising, spending time with my wife and kid. I spend time with my kid when I first pick him up from daycare, put him down to bed, spend some time with my wife after that. And that's pretty much the day right there.
Yeah. I mean, doing meaningful work, maybe connecting with some meaningful relationships as well. Those are things that I guess where I was going with this is it's the things that you value, right? You're performing actions around things that you value. You value learning, you value health and wellness. So exercising or whatever it may be, if you value meaningful work and what that can bring to your life, those are the things that you should do every single day. Like you can do that anywhere. I don't care if you are in Italy, you can still do those things. If I'm on a cruise ship in the Mediterranean, I'm still waking up every day, getting a workout in, reading a book, doing a little bit of writing, spending some time with my family, trying to do a little bit of meaningful work. I can't have a great day if I don't do the stuff that I care about.
Those are integrated in your life every single day. I feel like so many people go and they try to seek something new, but it's the things that you integrate in your day every single day that are the most important things. So, yeah.
True. What do you got?
Based on your reflection title, The Perfect Day is Ordinary, I totally get that. I mean, I understand it to the point where I don't think I would have understood it maybe 5 years ago, but I really get that. And I truly think that's what make me feel happy now. The question said, what is your perfect day? To me, right now, my perfect day is almost every day. I may run into some issues on some days, but most of my days are pretty perfect. I wake up, I work a little, I play a little, I play when I want to, I work when I want to. I'm independent, I control the time, I do what I feel like I should be doing. And to me, that puts me in a great set of mental health, and my spiritual kind of like aura is anchor, and I feel great. And to me, that's what made me happy. It's not about before I found company and before I found out what I need to do on this mission. I would be the hustler. Wake up early, you rise, you grind, and you repeat, and I do that. And to me, I did not enjoy that. Recalling the memory, I basically think that's a waste of my time trying to pursue something. This book reminds me of the other book, The Alchemist.
Yeah.
The perfect day, it's already under your nose. You're
Right.
born with a perfect day, and you want to go out there and create actions or whatever and create stress for yourself. Eventually, you go full circle and say, what I'm looking for is already here. I just didn't know where to look. So for me, this kind of book, I can really relate to. And like I said, I would love to pick up this book just because it sounds like my kind of book.
Yeah, no, it is a great read and I highly recommend it. I piggybacking on your whole alchemist comment. The thing with Morrie was this incredibly endearing old man that had lived a great life, but these were lessons that he was sharing with Mitch on his deathbed. And these are things that he was saying, like, I wish I would have done this stuff my whole entire life. I think one of the other big takeaways and lessons that I have with Clubany and our personal mission as a nonprofit and an organization is to help people find balance now and to find what their perfect day is and to help them to live that now so they don't have to wait until they're 80 years old on their deathbed to go, oh yeah, the perfect day was ordinary. Like they could have been doing this all along and been fulfilled with meaningful work and meaningful relationships their entire life. And they don't have to look back in regrets and have these conversations, leaving a legacy of things like your magical learning and whatnot, of other people that can follow along in their paths where they can hear their thoughts throughout the course of the year. I don't need to be on my deathbed to say what we're talking about right now and to reflect back to people. We're documenting these things, writing these reflections. We're living our values every single day. And this is the output of it. And if somebody finds this somewhere someday, great. But I know it helps us. I know it helps me. And that's all that really matters, right?
It's all about finding the fitting. Like for me, is what makes me happy is I get to be me. What does
Yeah.
me means? It's up to me. What's me mean to you? It's up to you. And so if
Exactly.
you can be you, I mean, I keep saying the same quote, you know, a painter must paint, right? A writer must write.
A beaver must dam. Don't forget.
A beaver must dam, right? If you do what you're created to do, you're gonna feel like you're fulfilled. And when you feel fulfilled, your feelings, how you feel about your life, it's feels good. I mean, the point is you gotta do things that make you feel good, but not the feel good just because it's you know, yeah, I want to eat a cake. Because when you eat a cake, you feel good for a short time and then you suffer. This feel good is the long lasting feel good. Like do what is right, right?
Yep.
What feels right to you, not what you feel like doing. It's about what is right for you. So it's all about finding that fitting, and you find the work that's worthwhile to you.
True happiness doesn't come from things that are instant gratifications. Long-term rewards are the ones that take the time. The whole process of actually understanding what those things are for yourself sounds like a simple thing that you could just list off, but it's not.
That's what this whole year of magical learning is. It's taken me hundreds of books, losing my daughter, having a midlife crisis after starting multiple businesses, and finding each other and going through all this. It takes a lot of life lessons to learn this. I'm just glad that we learned it when we're learning this stuff, and we have ability to change direction going forward. I mean, I would give anything to have my daughter back and not be on this journey, but if this is what it is, then you know, this is what it is, right? So any final thoughts, closing thoughts here before we wrap up today?
A perfect day should be every day.
Agreed.
Should be every day. You got to take the time to think about what's really going to make up that perfect day.
To me, like I said, the perfect day, it's actually pretty simple. Is I get to do what I want to do when I want to do it. I want to play whenever I want to, when I want to work. That to me is a perfect day.
I think you've done the pre-work that most people in the world haven't done of understanding.
It's a foundation. You have to have a mental framework of foundations to kind of have that perspective. And that's why I think this year of magical learning, it's actually putting people on the right path. Like, how do I think differently? How can I see from another person's perspective?
Right. It's about values. It's about understanding what you value. That takes time. It sounds easy in theory just to say, oh, yeah, I value family. Well, do you really value family? What actions do you do to reflect that? And have you thought through this, and have you reflected through it? You know, so anyway, yeah, great conversation, fellas. Appreciate you. For the listeners out there, the question for the day is, what's your perfect day? Just something to ponder and think about.
On what your perfect day is.
I love that.
Next time, you know, take care.